My search for Britain's most entertaining amateur a cappella group continues. Great! Last week, intense mentoring pushed the surviving groups to their vocal limits.
Either you want this, or you don't.
Ahead of a sing-off that saw students' choral stimulation shine.
Nothing compares to you.
But spelt the end for barbershop group Yesteryear.
Shake it off! Yeah!
It's a bit like going on a really, really great holiday. You know, eventually you're going to have to jump on the plane and come home.
This week, the pressure and the training move up a gear. Just strip it back, sing the bloody song.
This is tough, but something has to change.
Now the focus is on performance.
5, 6, 7, and...
New mentors will test my group's choreography, stagecraft, and how they wow a crowd.
Stand up, use your chest, and use your voice.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Before they compete again and face the all-important jury.
Thrilling ride. I absolutely loved what they did.
It did feel like it was cobbled together a bit.
With the semi-final looming large in everyone's mind, it's going to be only the very best groups that go through to these final stages.
We get one chance. That's the one thing that's guaranteed. We get one chance.
We have to be the ones that people go, oh my goodness, that's us this week.
Just needs a slip or two in the performance and that's going to be game over.
Guys, it's the first floor. It's the first floor. One more down.
It's back to school for the 5 remaining groups.
Really excited to get going again. I guess it's going to be more intense than last time, so we're a bit apprehensive about that maybe, but looking forward to the challenge.
They're returning to the West Midlands state-of-the-art performance hub. At stake this week, a place in my semi-final.
If we didn't get through to the semi-finals and it stopped now, I would be absolutely devastated because we're not done.
The group that beats for me is the Sons of Pitches. Like, they're nice guys, but I hate them.
The training I gave the groups here last time stretched them vocally, but great a cappella isn't just about singing. To really stand out, leading groups, like British act The Magnets, rely on slick choreography, staging, and good old-fashioned showmanship. I want to develop and test these performance skills in my groups, and this week, that's exactly what I'll be doing. Welcome, beloved contestants, to the second and final stage of a cappella school. Your next challenge is all about performance. Jazz hands at the ready. We're going to examine and improve how you move, how you command the stage, and how you engage an audience. So, I have recruited 2 specialists. Welcome, please, music theatre director Catherine Gant and choreographer extraordinaire Jason Pennycook. Catherine is resident director of the Olivier Award-winning musical Sunny Afternoon. While Jason is a West End choreographer who's worked with top a cappella group The Magnets. Catherine and Jason are going to help you to realise your vision for a performance of one song. This time I have selected songs that are best remembered for an iconic performance. You have just 3 days to achieve all this, and then you will be performing in front of an audience of 500 people. Yes, we're upping the game. Impress the jury this time, and you will be in my semi-final. Good luck!
Okay, here we go.
All the songs I've chosen have gone down in music history because of the original artist's iconic performance.
Big moment.
Now, it will be down to the groups to reinvent them as a show-stopping piece of a cappella.
What do you guys think it's going to be?
Spice Girls. Dirty Dancing.
First to discover what's in store, Stratford East Singers, a London community choir who welcome all comers.
writing all these songs, abusing us men. And then we just got to take it. So now I try to stand up as the MD of Stratford Singers and rewrite this song the way it should be. Yeah! Come on!
No, what it actually means is that, you know, if you want all this and you want to appreciate all this, then put one of these on.
Beyonce is the biggest icon right now. In terms of vocals and dancing and choreography, you know, I look at her as a benchmark of what all artists should be. So trying to compete with that, you know, it's almost kind of mind-blowing.
At each stage of the contest, a lack of confidence has hindered Southampton students' Restless Symphony. With drama and spectacle at its core, Lady Gaga's Bad Romance should be the perfect antidote to this group's issue.
No excuses, you know, it's a song that you literally can't be nervous on. You know, there's no room for anything other than absolute stonking attitude with this song.
Throughout the day, our true love waits.
Last week, I challenged all-male six-piece, the Sons of Pitches, to bring emotion to the stage.
For me, it was a little bit staid. I was a little bit bored with it.
While they're technically impressive, this group must learn to bring passion to performance. And I've chosen a track which will push them to do just that.
Oh! Hello.
This is going to be insane. Oh my god. Oh my lord.
What is this?
Wuthering Heights. Alright, just wait.
Kate Bush's Wuthering Heights demands a display of raw, visceral emotion.
You'll get the chorus now.
I currently despise this song. We'll have to see over the next 3 days, but if I can hate it less, that'll be a start at least, but yeah, I'm not liking it right now.
Started already? Is it all sauces?
No.
Are you fans of Kate Bush?
I grew up in a household that hates Kate Bush.
And I've just become a household that hates me.
How do you feel about the jury's feedback about engaging the audience emotionally?
I think the judge's opinion is an opinion at the end of the day.
But at the same time, it is your challenge to come out and say to the audience, this is the mood of this song, and bring them to you. I want to be looking at you going, oh, isn't that awfully clever? I want to be thinking, oh, I'm just in this. Yeah. I love this. This is a performance of the song, and they're telling the story of this song so brilliantly that I'm lost in it.
But also sounds good. But also sounds fantastic.
I feel like I'm locked in a battle of wills with Sons of Pitches. They want to do one thing that they know that they can do well, to the distraction of all else. I think that is a recipe for a very limited life in music. I really do. Unlike the Sons of Pitches, Glasgow University's Choral Stimulation had a breakthrough performance in the last round, with an emotional expression of heartache and loss.
It was a raw performance, very, very moved by their rendition. I thought it was fantastic.
This time, I want to see if they can create a very different mood.
We're going out.
Who is it? Who is it? Who is this? Does anyone know who it is?
The challenge for these uni friends will be to conjure the sophisticated sultriness that made Robert Palmer's Addicted to Love so memorable.
What does that song make them listen to? What does it do?
What's it turn you on? It's all the
It's
cool
all
rock and
about,
roll.
like, I will feel there's enough sex.
Sexy rock.
We're going to have to create this sexual tension or something on stage. I think probably the boys will find it harder than the girls to make that convincing.
Yeah, I'm quite, because we're all into friend zoned.
Previously, Essex-based wedding singers Gospel Essence displayed a spark that I and the jury thought had been lacking.
Hello to Gospel Essence. The jury was delighted to see that you'd heeded their words and brought energy, life and sparkle to your last performance. Keep it up and keep us engaged.
Brace yourself. I want to break.
Yeah, okay. Alright. I'm so excited.
I want to break free. I want to break free.
We can do so much with this song. And, you know, from the get-go, we all feel the same way about it, rather than before it's like, oh, I don't know where to start. So we're in a very good place.
The group's negative reaction to the last track I chose for them almost derailed them. I'm hoping that they've learnt their lesson for this round. Hi! Are you happy? Yes!
Very happy.
Good. I'm really, genuinely, this is good, right?
Yeah.
And it's also performance week, so you've got to find something quite simple that gets the attention of the audience. It's a take on the song that we really need.
We've just been toying with starting in our gospel robes and then at some point taking those off and having something else which is much more us beneath it.
Good. Well, I think it's really good to see you guys happy. So get on it quick.
Thank you.
It was a breath of fresh air to go in there and see them all zesty and energetic and up for it. And it looks like they're actually going to get on with it this time. Lessons will start tomorrow.
1, 2, 3.
But with just 3 days until they compete again, the groups waste no time getting to work. Before classes begin, they must devise an original concept to bring to the stage. OK, what's the circus about? Is this your theme?
Yes.
Taz is the ringleader.
Yes.
Is it your time to shine?
It is my debut, yes.
Excellent.
Sassy.
As ever, their arrangement and vocals must impress.
Forceful.
But this week, it's all about performance.
We want to create like a sexual tension within the group, and then we want the audience to know that.
Maybe we should all imagine each other naked.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what they come up with. They've got some great songs, and they should come up with things that are very arresting and fun and exciting. I don't think this week is all about singing, it's about spectacle. Day 1 of lessons.
Gareth calls it a cappella school, but it's more like a cappella boot camp. I just thought we were going to come here and sing.
As the groups get set for class, I'm briefing my mentors on their future students. Some of them already do choreography, but it's a little bit amateur. I think it needs a bit of sharpening up, and that's really not my bag, so over to you for that. Some of the groups need a little bit more self-confidence. One or two of them are a little bit inhibited. Some of the groups struggle with drawing in an audience to them. It's all very sort of out and a little bit chaotic at times. They're very energetic. They're really competitive at this stage. None of them want to go home.
How far can we push them?
All the way. I'd love to see them put off something that really is slick. They haven't done that yet.
I think the main thing for both of us is storytelling, really, isn't it? With the movement and the staging.
Good. Well, have fun. Treat me.
Thank you.
Great.
King.
Thank you.
Thank you. First stop for Catherine and Jason.
Hello. Good, how are you? Good.
The Sons of Pitches.
So talk to us about the ideas.
So we want it to be really dark and ethereal.
Okay.
It's a lot like the book, basically. We're thinking really kind of gothic vibe.
Obviously, this is Kathy's story.
Yeah.
You're all men.
Yes.
How are we dealing with that?
I kind of just assumed that one of us would kind of take on the solo and effectively be the
The spirit of Kathy.
Is it worth you singing a bit now so you can just show her where it is in your voice?
Yeah, absolutely. God, yeah.
Out on the wildly windy moors, we'd roll and fall in green. You had a temper like my jealousy,
too hot, too greedy. How could you leave me when I needed to possess you? I hated you. I loved you too.
Okay, I honestly, as soon as you started singing, I wanted to laugh.
Yeah.
And it's not because of your voice, it's just because it's like, it's a man singing.
up there.
As soon as you, somebody laughs,
Yeah, you've lost it, yeah.
You know what I mean?
What you don't want to do is it sounds so uncomfortable that it sounds potentially a mistake.
It could really set the wrong tone if I step out and sing, ah! And it's just like, oh, you know, like they said, one laugh will just kill the mood.
The group's choice of soloist is key to unlocking the emotion in this track. Also in contention is teaching assistant Joe Hines.
Out on the wily, windy moors, we'd roll and fall in green. You had a temper like my jealousy, too hot, too greedy.
Great. I think it works really well, but you need to be able to emotionally attach to what you're doing.
This challenge is hard. It's a bit different to what we're used to. I'm personally nervous because I'm doing the solo as well, so, you know, pressure's on me a little bit.
Hello, focus, guys. I've got an hour with you, please, seriously. I'll count you in 5, 6, 7, and you.
Choreographer Jason's next visit is to Glasgow University group Choral Stimulation.
Okay, stop. You go up and you take them and you're like, hey, let's have a dance, you know what I mean? You know what I mean, just nice and free. And you know, you might go to the guy and go, hey, what's up? You know what I mean? And while we're doing all this section here. You ready? And go.
They've decided on a flirty nightclub theme for their performance of Addicted to Love.
I need to sit. Okay, I'm going to sit on your bed, lad.
Our aim's to look cool, which some of us are finding a little bit harder than others, but, you know, we can do it.
Transition, boom, cat, just cat, believe what you're doing, just cat, I'm back into the song now.
Hi. How's it going? How are their moves?
They're doing all right, you know.
Is that tension that we're trying to create between the sexes? I think that's what we're struggling with. Trying to feel a bit awkward because we're all just mates.
All the kind of moving to the beaten is very weird. So this is a sort of less is more crisp kind of thing. All this like, oh, I'm so sexy. It sort of doesn't work. It's got to smoulder quietly, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I just feel you're still quite inhibited with it, do you know what I mean? And that's the only problem.
I think that's fair.
Fear. Oh, sorry, Scott.
I think that's fair.
They find it hard to be sexy with one another. They're embarrassed about it. If they don't pull off sexy and sultry, it will look cheesy.
Apparently we're going on sexy lessons tomorrow. So it's like being back in there. Like sex education.
Sexy lessons.
Yeah. So we're getting lessons on how to improve being cool tomorrow and how to sell it on stage. So they've got their work cut out for them.
Next door, Catherine is in with the Stratford East Singers. Unsure which direction to take with Beyonce's Single Ladies, group leader Byron has thrown it open to everyone to come up with ideas. But the mix of opinions has produced equally mixed results.
Single ladies. If I'm totally honest, I'm not entirely convinced by the second half. It's epically beautiful, the beginning of that. And when you all come in together, it's all lovely. And I feel that there's more to go in that vein. It's definitely one change too many.
They're trying to do too much stuff. Could just be a really still, powerful, this is who we are, we're a community. And they're trying to be a bit too clever.
So what do you think is the best way to move forward?
We've all put lots of ideas in, but I think maybe now is the time to let you direct us and we listen to you, because you need the space then to say, OK, this sounds right, we're going to go with it, we'll try it, that's fine.
Changing a song is never a problem, but the problem is the time. You know, we only have 3 days, so we don't really have time to keep changing and making changes. And what we don't want to do is come tomorrow, we're still making changes. So I really hope by the end of today we have everything locked in place.
Being unsure of their arrangement doesn't bode well for Stratford singers. By now, all the groups should have arrangements nailed so that they can concentrate on movement and staging.
Ready and go.
Confident they're ahead of the curve after last week's slow start are Gospel Essence. With their arrangements sorted early, they're now focusing on choreography. Hi. Hello, hello, hello. Can I see what you've got so far? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go from the top.
I want to break free. I want to break free. I want to break free from the life you're so
It's a waltz.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to break free.
You've made a really audacious change to the song by putting it into a waltz. It's much slower than the original, isn't it? I mean, look, what do you think?
I do like it, but I think when we practiced last night, we were saying that it would be faster.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, what do you think?
Either you stick with this 3/4 and go with it and it'll be pretty and lovely, or you go back to what it originally was and make it poppy. So
I think it's tricky, isn't it? It's tricky. Just try it faster. I just worry for you that you've gone back a bit into something that's a bit, kind of relaxed. I'm sorry if you've done absolutely loads on this, but I'm not convinced. I hated the waltz. I hated the waltz. It was wrong. It's I Want to Break Free, and Freddie Mercury in the video prances around with a hoover and in a dress. Now, this is no time for hiding lights in bushels. It needs to be all out there.
The feedback from Gareth is that we've gone like this, and then I suppose in a way I arranged it in our old style and it kind of took it this.
Yeah.
And it's not going to have the impact.
We do know what we're doing. We do know what we're doing, and we are just improving that formula.
Yeah.
This is developmental. We're just growing.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the amazing... What was
The amazing circus of Restless Symphony. 1, 2, 3, 4.
As day one draws to a close, Catherine is working with Southampton students' Restless Symphony.
I want you to really think quite bassy with this.
Centre stage for their circus-themed take on Lady Gaga's Bad Romance is the group's only man, Taz.
You've got to be proud with it. The minute you go, I'm a bit scared, we get a bit scared as well. And you've got to listen to your inner showgirl.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Having grown up with 4 sisters, he's used to fighting the ladies in his life for the spotlight.
In my family, we all do music and we all sing to an extent, and when we went, at church, we'd sing as well. Every musical we did at school, I was there, in the front, massive grin on my face, massive eyes, just yeah, singing. I was completely different from everybody else in school, because music was just my little getaway, and I was bullied for being, the only boy that enjoyed singing. Even when I went to college, I did engineering, and then I went back to singing. So it was just a thing where it was just I can't escape you, so there's no point me trying. I might as well just give it my all and just go out there and see how far I can get with it.
You need to be playing I'm central, and I'm key, and I'm powerful, and I'm strong, and I have choices to make.
Stand up, use your chest, and use your voice. Here we go, try it again.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the incredible circus of Restless Symphony.
4.
Ra 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 ah ah, ra ma ra ma ma da da.
So she's got
that romance.
Hello. So I'm looking for Restless Symphony. They're a really shy, retiring, quiet group.
Having holiday in Romania.
Can you explain to me why Taz is standing on a box?
I'm the ringleader.
So this is a big role for you. Yeah. Good. But this is one where there can be no apology from you. There can be no embarrassment. It's got to be absolutely all out or nothing. Good. Okay. I like it a lot. Continue. See you later.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gareth, thanks.
This is what a cappella school is about. It's about actually developing not coming in and doing the same old thing you've always done and hoping that that will wash. It's about learning new skills, and they're in there. Credit to them. They're coming out all guns blazing. Love it!
It's more pressure than I thought it would be because I am just genuinely the centre of attention, and it's getting used to.
While Restless Symphony might have made a promising start, my candid critique of Gospel Essence's arrangement has sent Rebecca back to the drawing board.
I'm just working out what I want the guys to sing. Then we've always got something to refer to. You know, they're all excited to see what I'm going to come up with, so I don't want to disappoint them as well. So, fingers crossed it all works out.
Rebecca's not alone in suffering a setback on this first day. Lots of ups and downs today. Some groups really flying, and some groups thinking they're flying, and then in comes a mentor and everything goes wrong. I think tomorrow's the interesting day. Tomorrow, if a mentor comes in and says they don't like it, it starts to get really difficult. It's hard work here.
River? It's us. It's time to get up.
River? He doesn't even fit in the bed. River, we're going to be late.
Day 2. It's now just 24 hours until the groups perform at the world-renowned Birmingham Conservatoire in front of 500 people and, crucially, the jury. Chairing this week, alongside a leading music producer and vocal expert, is acclaimed performance coach, Andrew Panton.
Obviously singing is key to a cappella, but it's about so much more than that. It's about the performance, and it's about the mood and the personality. We want to see the personality of the individual singers and the group coming across.
Alongside Andrew, experts across the whole range of a cappella genres will also vote to decide who stays in the contest and which group leaves for good. To ensure they're ready to face the jury, Rebecca has been up half the night reworking her arrangement for Gospel Essence. Assessing the new waltz-free version is vocal coach Mark DeLissa.
That's it?
That's it. We haven't just locked the last verse down with the fade out.
Has everyone got these parts?
No, when we finished the rehearsal yesterday, I just had to close it because it was just that stage where everyone needs to sleep, so we haven't had a chance to do this bit. So it's the hours we lost doing that.
Rebecca, you've missed the trick. The trick is real simple. Why has everybody else not got their separate part on their phone?
I didn't have the opportunity to send it to anybody.
It's minutes.
Okay.
It's minutes. This is tough. I know. And I get it 100%. But something has to change.
Say 5. You got it on your phone. I'm okay with the pressure. It's just a case of when you've done everything that you can and you still feel like you're falling short. That's where the problem is. It's like it makes you question if you're actually good at what you think you are, and it's a bit hard to take, I guess.
While Rebecca battles on to get the much-needed arrangement finished, I'm checking how Stratfordy singers have handled the advice to go simple and soulful with their sound. I think you can get better blend than that, you four. Turn in. Same volume, same sound, look at each other's mouths.
If you liked it, then you should have put a ring on it.
If you like that, da-da-da-da.
A ring on it.
Real energy.
Don't be mad, what you see, that he want it.
I'd love you four just to do that over and over again until it's totally like, totally seamless. That's some of the best ensemble I've heard out of you.
If you liked it, then you should have put a ring on it.
Oh my God, guys, they sound so good.
Ring on it.
Hey.
Should have put up
sound amazing. Can you hear it? Ring on it. We've got a lot to do.
Team hug!
This is my favourite moment. Across the hall,
Bad dreams in the night.
the Sons of Pitches are working on choreography.
It's the fight. Leave behind my wuthering, wuthering, wuthering heights.
So you've got to really feel that the 5 ghosts of Kathy behind you. Have you ever walked through a wood at night on your own?
Yes.
Yeah, it's that.
Hello. Hi, how's it going?
Good.
All right, let's see if it works.
On the wily, windy moors we'd roll and fall in green. You had the temper like my jealousy, too hot, too greedy.
I don't know did that draw me in? I'm so impressed with you technically, and I feel like I keep saying this to you because most people don't know anything about music technically, but what they are all experts in are human beings. Honestly, there's a power in each one of us to stand in front of an audience and give them something. I don't feel you digging deep, you know? I don't feel that sense of like, we've had to really like find this like there in my toes.
For me, I don't really know where to start when it's, because I've always listened to music as listening out for cool harmonies and cool. I've never listened to music emotionally. I've always kind of seen it as technical. I really like that.
I don't know where to start, really. You know, from when I was a kid, I would hear a piece of music and it would do something to me and I wouldn't understand it, but it was feeling, it was emotion, and I get none of that from the Sons of Pitches at the moment. I just get sort of, like we're sorting out who has to pay the phone bill. It's that kind of feeling, you know, like, oh, we can sort out, oh, you could do this and I could do that. Yes, isn't that marvellous? Great, we're done. No, you're not.
We're really, really worried, but it's massively an attitude thing. We just need to say, OK, this is how it's going to happen, and we'll practice it until it does work. But instead, we're kind of, there's a lot of fear.
Rounders bats packed away.
Come into the circle, come tight, come tight.
Choral Stimulation are heading to see Jason, who has a plan to make their awkward performance smoulder.
Okay, grab yourself a chair. So what we're going to do is we're going to go one person at a time, OK? Person number 1 is going to tell person number 2 something that's bad that's happened to them. They're then going to tell you what has come good out of that.
Okay. So late last year, my granddad died. So like I was close to him. Sorry.
It's okay.
I think I just spread myself really thinly and it really affected my studies, and it's almost like a selfish thing. I just wanted to see him, as you do. But it was a hard time and I didn't really speak to anyone about it.
I don't think you should in any way feel guilty about being selfish. You spend that time with your granddad, which is much more important.
Thank you.
Good. Group hug. Don't be inhibited with the interaction that you have to do with one another. So I know you're friends, but, you know, that should make it even easier. And now that you know each other a little bit better, I think that'll make it even easier as well. Just remember that, you know, there are worse things that have happened, so this is nothing. This is something that you enjoy doing. Do you know what I mean?
Thanks, man. It did exactly what he said it would do. It just stripped back everyone's inhibitions. Everyone was suddenly filled with a slightly more positive outlook on life.
Can't sleep, you can't eat. Something, you like to think that you're immune to the stuff. You're gonna have to face that you're addicted.
Free vibe.
Baby, oh yeah.
Yes, she's the only one who gets it right.
Really well done, Tony. It's great. But Tony, are you going to remember the words?
No, definitely not.
Is there anything that we can do to help you? Because you've got, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on your shoulders. What can we do to get you there?
I just need to write them out.
Yeah.
I mean, I do cover sets all the time. I've been making up verses for years. It's fine.
Okay. You can't do that. Just by hook or by crook, get this man some lyrics. He's got to remember the words. He can't just scabadoo dabbity dabbity do his way through this. He really can't. While lyrics prove a headache for Tony, the two groups who fell behind with their arrangements have a different problem. As the last day of mentoring draws to a close, they're playing catch-up with their choreography.
Head to the front! Head to the front!
With time against them, Stratford East have gone for something simple to match their new pared-down vocals.
You're basically just going to turn on yourself. If you liked it, then you should have put a ring on it. Then should have put a ring on it. Ring on it. Ring, 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 ring. I thought you did that twice.
We're back with a fighting chance now, and I feel like the guys feel like that as well, and I feel like we're definitely in a lot more positive.
Not so Gospel Essence, who, at the 11th hour, are struggling to master a complex routine.
Oh, how I want to break free.
Oh, how I want to break free. Okay. Just make sure that when you do the walks, don't make it look like you pooed your pants.
That thing of being drawn to something means that you'll go in a straight line with your feet, whereas otherwise you do end up doing this, which is very weird. No one walks like this.
Yeah.
Actually, their arrangement works. Yes, they're in danger right now. If we put that on stage right now, absolutely in danger. But I have a funny feeling that because they know they're in danger, they're probably going to be the most sharply focused group.
It's the last day of a cappella school and it has been a joy. The standard now that we've got to this stage is incredible. I feel confident that as long as Tony remembers his words, Choral Stimulation are going to do a great job.
There's so many of them. It's just ridiculous.
I think Sons of Pitches might be the weirdest a cappella thing you've ever seen, but it will be something. It will be a performance, and I don't think you'll forget it in a hurry. Gospel Essence, they all said, oh, we've learnt the lessons. Yes, we've learnt the lessons from last time. No, you haven't, because the lesson was, get on with it. Everyone's worked really hard, and they just need an audience. Performance Day.
Today's the big day.
The groups are waving a cappella school goodbye before they head to the Birmingham Conservatoire to compete once more. The challenge I set them was all about creating a standout performance. It needs every member of the group to be 100% committed and to bring it to the audience on the day in front of the jury.
If we're going to go home, we're going home. If we're going to stay, we're going to stay. But either way, we get one chance. That's the one thing that's guaranteed. We get one chance. So we might as well go out there and just have fun.
Yeah.
As the groups prepare backstage, my jury arrive. First and foremost, they want to be entertained, but today vocals will take a back seat as they focus on choreography, costume, and the spectacle that groups bring to the stage.
The thing for me is emotional content. Do they actually thrill me when they're on stage? Do they elicit an emotional response? I think it's actually top of my list.
While the focus might be on stagecraft, the groups must still deliver in terms of blend, beatboxing, timing and tuning as they bring all that they've learned this past week to bear on this crucial performance.
We're relying on Heinz quite a lot for this, and so I think maybe he's getting a bit nervous. But he's a pro, and I think he's going to absolutely smash it.
I'm really nervous today, but this could be the last time we do this, so everyone just needs to bring it, and I believe the guys will.
With the jury in their seats, the groups will now face their biggest audience yet. Welcome. Thank you. Let's get this show on the road with the first of our acts. Get ready for a sultry performance from Choral Stimulation.
Lights are on, but you're not home. Your mind is not your own. Your heart sweats, your body shakes. Another kiss is all it takes. You can't eat, you can't sleep. There's no doubt you're in deep. Your throat's tight, you can't breathe. Another kiss is all you need. Oh, you like to think that you're immune to this stuff. Oh yeah. It's closer to the truth to say you can't get enough. You know you're gonna have to face it. You're addicted to love. You see the signs, but you can read. Running at a different speed. Your heart beats in double time. Another kiss, and you'll be mine. A one-track mind. You can't be saved. Baby, on is all you crave. It's made for you. Mind if you do. You like to think that you're immune to this stuff. Might as well face it, you're addicted to love. Might as well face it, you're addicted to love. Might as well face it, you're addicted to love. Might as well face it, you're addicted to love. You like to think that you're immune to the stuff. Well, you might as well face it, you're addicted to love.
Amazing.
Kind of fluffed one of the choruses lyric-wise, but just sort of like turned it into a strange dance.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the incredible circus of Restless Symphony. Ra 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 ah ah, rama rama ma, Gaga, ooh la la. Want your bad romance? I want you ugly, I want you disease. I want you everything as long as it's free. I want your love, 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 love. I want your love. I want your love, I want your revenge. You and me can write a bad romance.
I want your horror, I want your design. 'Cause you're a criminal as long as you're mine. I want your love, 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 love. I want your love. I don't wanna be friends. I don't wanna be friends.
Gentlemen, the show is now over. We bid you good night.
They'll be really happy, I think.
That was the best performance I've ever done.
Next up, the Sons of Pitches.
out on the violin. Windy moors, we'd roll and fall in green. You had a temper like my jealousy, too hot, too greedy. How could you leave when I needed to possess you? I hated you, I loved you too. Bad dreams in the night, they told me I was going to lose the fight. Leave behind my wuthering, wuthering, wuthering heights. Heathcliff, it's me, I'm Kathy, I've come home, I'm so cold. Let me into your window. It gets dark, it gets lonely on the other side from you. I find a lot, I find a lot falls through without you. I'm coming back now, cool Heathcliff, my one dream, my only master. Too long a roam in the night, I'm coming back to my side to put it right. I'm coming home to wuthering, wuthering, wuthering heights. Heathcliff, it's me, I'm Kathy, I've come home and I'm so cold. Let me into your window. Heathcliff, it's me, I'm Kathy, I've come home, I'm so cold. Let me into your window. Heathcliff, it's me, I'm Kathy, I've come home, I'm so cold. Let me into your window. Heathcliff, it's me, I'm Kathy, I've come home.
I'm moved. Heinz, he's got tears in his eyes. And I've never seen that from them. Yeah, they've done it. I felt something. I felt a lot. Next up, a rock anthem, given a novel twist by the one, the only, Gospel Essence. There were some great moments in that, had energy, but it's not perfect. Gospel Essence, everyone!
There's nothing I could do. He trod on it. I couldn't get the rope from behind me. Louis was walking on it, so I had to drop it.
Not one step on the rope, just getting to me.
Time for the final act of the night. Stratford East Singers.
Up in the club, we just broke up, doing my own little thing. Decided to dip, now you wanna quit, 'cause another brother noticed me. I'm up on him, he up on me, don't pay him any attention. I cried my tears for 3 good years. You can't get mad at me, 'cause if you liked it, then you should have put a ring on it. Don't get mad at me. If you liked it, then you should have put a ring on it. Don't you love me? Don't you see that he wanted? Oh no. 'Cause if you liked it, then you should have put a ring on it.
3 years. I cried my tears. Don't be mad because another man looked at me. You should have put a ring on it.
If you liked it, you should have put a ring on it. If you liked it, you should have put a ring on it. If you liked it, you should have put a ring on it. Ring on it. Ring on it. Ring on it. Ring, 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 ring. Yeah, 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 yeah. Should have put a ring on it. Should have put a ring on it. Ring on it. Should have put a ring on it. Should have put a ring on it. Ring on it. Should have put a ring on it. Should have put a ring on it. Ring on it.
Who will be going through to my semi-final is now a decision solely for the jury.
Choral Stimulation, I just loved this. Cool choreography, it was sophisticated.
Loved the lead singer. The only thing I would say is don't close your eyes when you're singing solo. There's still an audience that you've got to bring into your performance.
Sons of Pitches, brilliant. Great tension, eerie harmonies.
We've talked endlessly about how technically accomplished they are, but that they didn't kind of grip us. That gripped me tonight.
Yeah. Great job, Sons of Pitches.
So, Restless Symphony. I thought that the starting tableau here was absolutely fantastic. You were drawn in from the start.
I thought they did a very good job of that, given that there's not many of them to actually create that amount of sound.
Great soloists. I really felt like the key was a tone too low, but overall I really loved it.
Gospel Essence, I really struggled with this. It wasn't unified. I think they struggled with the change of outfit.
They were thinking about robes and steps.
Yes, they were.
But they had nice rhythm changes, and it was good to see the new soloist, because I haven't really heard her.
Stratford East. Okay, so if you saw my face when I heard that soloist, it would have looked like this.
I thought their intonation was 100% better than it's ever been before. That's a great thing to fix, and very difficult to fix, and they did it.
I suppose if I had to nitpick a little bit, it would be just at the very end, we kind of went into kind of ambiguous pitching territory. So I guess it's time to vote.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, members of the audience, I have the results. I can now reveal which acts will be going through to the semi-finals. The results are in no particular order. I'm going to start by revealing the first act to make it through. The Stratford East Singers!
Way to go!
The next group staying in the contest is Restless Symphony. Staying in the contest is the Sons of Pitches. Two groups left now on stage, but only one will be going through to the semi-final. The jury said that this was an incredibly tough decision, but the group that they felt should stay in the contest is Choral Stimulation. That means that, sadly, Gospel Essence, you'll be leaving us at this stage of the contest. We will be very, very sorry to say goodbye to you. I'm going to miss you guys. It was really great. I really enjoyed your performance today. I don't know how you pulled that off. Really well done. Can we have a huge round of applause? Thank you.
It's brought us all massively close together, and it's tightened a bond that we already thought couldn't get any stronger.
I've been through so much, and so I haven't really got any words at the moment, but yeah, it's lovely. I mean, I'm really proud of what we've achieved.
Look, there were so many great things about your performance. You did a great job. Gemma, excellent solo. Excellent solo, Rebecca. You were beaten fair and square, just on points of precision, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's completely fair. We've just enjoyed the whole process. We love the other groups as well, so hats off to them and wish them every success. And we might join Stratford East anyway, so.
Feels as though we've jumped over the emotion hurdle. The last couple of weeks they've been talking about emotion, and hopefully we've nailed that now.
It was really good tonight. The standard of singing is getting so much better, and the standard of performance, it was slick tonight. There were moments that were really professional on that stage. It was great. It's now getting so hard to separate between the groups, all the groups. I am so excited about the semi-finals. It's going to be brilliant. They're going to have so much fun. It's going to be hard.
Gareth, what's your next challenge? Because we're ready. We're coming for you.
Next time, the last 4 groups fight for a place in my final. For the first time, they must choose their own song.
Me be treated like a punk. You know that's unheard of.
Oh, gosh. As I challenged them to take a cappella from the stage to the screen.
I hated this. Hated it.
This was a brave decision, but I don't know if they're up to it.